The pursuit of an existence where nothing and nobody possesses the power to inflict further injury is not found in the construction of psychic fortifications, but in the radical dissolution of the ego's monopoly over the soul. To Carl Jung, the experience of being hurt is rarely a purely external phenomenon. Rather, it is the agonizing friction between an objective event and an unexamined internal complex. When an individual remains trapped within the confines of the ego, that fragile, lit-up island of consciousness, they are perpetually vulnerable because the ego's very survival depends upon the mirroring and validation of the external world. To be hurt is to have one's self-image contradicted or one's hidden inadequacies exposed. Therefore, the only path to true invulnerability is the process of individuation, wherein the center of gravity shifts from the superficial ego to the transpersonal self. This transition requires a descent into the shadow, that reservoir of repressed attributes and unlived desires that we find loathsome or terrifying. We are hurt most deeply by those who point out the darkness we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. If an individual has not integrated their own capacity for malice, betrayal, or failure, they remain a hostage to anyone who manifests those traits. However, once the shadow is assimilated, once you have looked into your own abyss and accepted the predator within, the external world loses its capacity to shock or wound you. You become transparent. The insults and betrayals of others find no hook within your psyche. They pass through you like wind through a net, because there is no longer a repressed complex to catch the blow. You recognize the malice of the other not as a personal assault, but as a projection of their own fractured psyche. To reach the state where nothing can hurt you, one must also confront the void, the inherent meaninglessness that threatens the ego. Jung suggests that neurosis is often a substitute for legitimate suffering. By avoiding the necessary pain of growth, we remain susceptible to the petty stings of daily life. True resilience is born from the amor fati, or the love of one's fate, where every experience, no matter how ostensibly negative, is viewed as a necessary movement in the alchemy of the soul. In this state of consciousness, the individual no longer identifies with the persona, the social mask crafted to appease the collective. When the mask is dropped, the fear of it being torn away vanishes. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, but an objective observer of the psychic drama. Invulnerability is not the absence of feeling, but the presence of such profound self-knowledge that no external force can destabilize the foundation of your being. The architecture of psychological invulnerability demands the total abandonment of the defensive posture. To be hurt is to be caught in a state of resistance. It is the friction of a psyche that still possesses a surface area capable of being struck. When an individual operates from the level of the ego, they are a solid object, a target defined by their preferences, their moral certainties, and their desperate need for the world to conform to their internal narrative. Carl Jung posits that the only way to move beyond the reach of nothing and nobody is to achieve a state of psychic fluidity where the boundaries of the self are no longer rigid. This is the stage of the conjunctio, the alchemical marriage of opposites within the soul, where the observer and the observed, the victim and the victimizer, are recognized as manifestations of the same primordial energy. In this realization, the other ceases to exist as an independent agent of malice. They are merely a mirror reflecting a part of the universal unconscious that you have not yet claimed as your own. The deeper one descends into the process of individuation, the more one realizes that emotional wounds are actually the cries of an unlived life. We are hurt by the betrayal of a partner because we have outsourced our sense of wholeness to them. We are hurt by the loss of status because we have confused our persona with our essence. The nothing that Jung speaks of is the nigredo, the blackening, where the ego is charred and stripped of its illusions. This is the dark night of the soul where you realize that you are, in fact, nobody. To the ego, being nobody is the ultimate horror, but to the individuated self, it is the ultimate liberation. If you are nobody, there is no somebody left to be insulted, no somebody to be abandoned, and no somebody to fail. You become the stage upon which the drama of life occurs, rather than a character terrified of the script. This state is not one of cold indifference or sociopathic detachment. Rather, it is a profound, objective participation in the flow of existence, the stings of rejection, as autonomous psychic contents passing through your field of consciousness.